Doom. What a title. So simple, yet so descriptive of this game's contents. The terror, the gut-wrenching action, the claustrophobic nightmare of being stuck in an enclosed space, encountering all manner of hellish beasts with the single-minded goal of tearing you apart in the bloodiest manner possible. It has been on so many computers and consoles since its release, and this Super Nintendo port was my very first taste of this monumental game. But does the Super FX Enhanced port capture the essence of Doom's greatness? Well, let's find out. Doom is a no-nonsense title, that is for sure, but if you've played any other version of the game on more capable systems, this port's frame rate is pretty sluggish and the controls are considerably less responsive as a result. Now this affects Doom's usually frantic pace and takes it down by several notches. It's not enough to make the game unplayable, but rather it makes playing this version of Doom more of a tactical experience. You've got a little more time to react to the action, and that does make a real difference to how the game is played. So, we've established that this is a pretty damn ambitious port, and even with the power of the Super FX2 chip, the SNES clearly struggles, but it compares relatively favourably to the Sega 32X version, even boasting a larger screen size than the Sega port, and has most of the maps as well. This version is missing just 5 maps from the PC version, but that still leaves about 22 out of 27 maps to play through. Quite an impressive achievement when you think about it, especially when you realise that the 32X version is missing 10 levels, including the entire third chapter. But in 1995, this was an incredibly impressive release, and that is largely due to it being a competent version of Doom on a system where it shouldn't have been made possible. From the moment you start with that weedy pistol, you feel right at home, and while the SNES controller cannot possibly compete with a keyboard or even a keyboard and mouse combo, it works pretty damn well. The face buttons deal with firing, running, interacting with doors and switches, plus a single button weapon toggle which can be a little fiddly in a firefight, although it is possible to switch weapons when the game is paused using the start button. Select opens up the auto map, which is incredibly useful but doesn't pause the game and leaves you open to attack, while the L and R buttons strafe left and right. Now while the game's manual does offer up a strict warning about Doom not being designed for use with the Super NES mouse or the Super Scope controllers, that's actually kind of false, as the game's programmer Randy Linden recently revealed that he added support for these alternative control methods. Unfortunately, using these other methods is not a great move. The SNES mouse requires you to move by pushing the mouse continually in the direction you want to move in, and that's a bit difficult as you have to keep picking up the mouse and moving it to avoid running out of surface space. Plus, with only 2 buttons, it makes doing any action other than firing or interacting with objects a pretty painful experience. You can't use both the mouse and SNES controller either, which would have made the SNES mouse experience a little more useful. As for the Super Scope support, well, I tried using the Super Scope and nothing happened. I tried plugging the receiver into both ports on the console and I just couldn't see anything that allowed me to even fire using the Super Scope. Maybe Randy Linden hid this support so deeply that no one's found it yet, or this support was removed before release, or even never there. It's probably worth mentioning that this game did have online deathmatch support for 2 players using the now defunct X-Band online service, one of the few games to officially support the device that enabled North American gamers to take their Super Nintendo online. Sadly, there is no way to play online now, but I bet it would have been pretty cool at the time. In any case, sticking with this SNES pad is definitely the way to go. While few essential features have been removed, there is one glaring omission that really does ruin the whole experience, and that is the total lack of any way to save your progress. You can select what difficulty and chapter you begin by starting a new game, but as for saving mid-game, there is neither a battery backup or even a password option. You'll need to start from the beginning of a chapter every time you turn the game on. Thankfully, dying only takes you back to the very start of the level you've got up to, but it's quite frustrating having to know that you can't just take a break after you finish the level. And still, despite all of these concessions, it's still a mighty fine interpretation of Doom. The levels are still brilliantly claustrophobic, the visuals are chunky but very recognisable, and even with the slower pace it still plays well. I would even go so far as to say that the change in pace adds a little more suspense. The level design is still top notch after all this time, and most importantly, the music is absolutely great. There are many ports of Doom that have unsuccessfully reproduced the PC's original MIDI soundtrack, but the SNES instrumentation is just brilliant. And to be honest, I think it actually sounds better than the PC version, but your opinion might be different. And no one is going to come to this game in the 21st century and expect this to be the definitive version, but I'm not going to deny that as a SNES release it's still an incredible achievement. If you have a Super Nintendo, it is still a great version of Doom, and certainly worth taking a look to see how on earth they managed to port it. Looks great, plays great, sounds fantastic, and plays just like Doom should. No ability to save makes it impossible to make any sort of progression during a short play session, even if you can start from any chapter. It's a more complete port than its rival Sega 32X version, and unlike that port, it doesn't require any additional hardware. Over 2 decades later, and I still can't believe they managed to fit Doom onto the humble 16-bit SNES. And that is another Super FX game struck off my list. Can you believe that I only have two Super FX titles left? Now the next one will be the PAL exclusive Winter Gold, and the last one, well, I'm sure you won't be too outfoxed in guessing what that game will be. I'll be back soon with some more gaming greatness, but please slam that subscribe button right this second, plus that bell icon as well to be notified whenever my next video is released. You can check out all of my other Super FX reviews right here, and if you feel like it, would you kindly share this video with your friends? Until next time, take care and happy gaming.